Hey, what is up, everybody? This is JP representing JPFitnessPro.com. Today's video is going to be about workout splits, pros and cons. I'm going to go over the most popular splits that people do for strength training and hypertrophy training, and go over the pros and cons of each and who they're best for. Just to preface this video, these splits are specifically for hypertrophy, gaining muscle, and getting stronger. There are other workouts that someone may do, obviously, like, long distance running, which is cardiovascular endurance, or swimming, or Olympic lifting, or things that are kind of, and I know Olympic lifting is, basically training that's very power oriented. But again, that's still kind of outside my scope of practice, and that's not my focus, So my focus is specifically for strength, like getting stronger in exercises like the squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, etc., and then gaining muscle. So I'm gonna go over splits that are very popular for those types of people who are working out like that, and basically the pros and cons of each, just so you guys kind of know what you might want to switch to if you're looking for the best split for your type of style and your situation. Also, to preface this too, is a lot of you may say, well, that's not true, or I can make a split that's that way and make it good for what you're saying it's bad at. Of course, I can do that too. I can take a con of the total body split and counter that to the best of my ability. Anyone who's good at making workout programs can kind of make a con not so much of a con, like, make a bad part of a split a little bit better. But when I mean by pros and cons for these splits, I specifically mean that compared to the other splits, for one, and compared to other splits, like if like, for example, con, and I'll just say it real quick before we go into it, is that a con for total body is that it's more difficult to target weak body parts. You may say, well, I can target weak body parts. I do it all the time when I do total body. Well, I mean, one, in comparison to the other splits, and two, I mean that there's still a downside to it. It's not, you can't do it to a very high degree. Of course, I can make a total body split where I target weak body parts. It just doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it's the best at doing that, is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that just because I can do it doesn't mean it's the best. So that's essentially what I mean, and I'll talk about that more as I go along. So we already brought it up. Let's go straight into total body. A total body split is a split where you do all major muscle groups in one workout. So in one workout, you'll hit some sort of, you'll hit legs, you'll hit upper body push, and an upper body pull. So you do that every single workout. Now, just to kind of say it, because it might sound obvious, some of you say, well, what if you just do only legs on one day? For some of you who don't understand how splits work, well, that's no longer a total body split. So again, total body split is assuming that you try to hit every major muscle group in one workout. So you hit legs, upper body push, and upper body pull. So the pros of a total body split is that you can achieve high frequency for each body part, for the major muscle groups, I should say. I should change that. Well, I'll say it right here, for major muscle groups, not for each body part. Or, yeah, for each body part too, I guess. But you can achieve high frequency for each body part, essentially leaving no gains on the table. Because if you're doing every major muscle group in one workout, then you can do that 3 or 4 times a week, depending on the week. I say 3 or 4 times because, think about it. If you do a total body on Monday, you can't obviously do it again on Tuesday, so you're going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday that week. But then the next week, you can't do it on Monday because you did it on Sunday. So you can only do it Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday of the second week. So it's either 3 or 4 times. But again, that's still a very high frequency when you do it to that frequency. So you can achieve high frequency for each body part. The next thing is that total body workouts are very time efficient. And you may say, well, no, they're not time efficient. I do total body workouts all the time, and because I have to hit each muscle group, they're not time efficient, which, again, that's where I'd say that con comes in a little bit later, but I think they're very time efficient if you do them correctly. And by time efficient, I don't necessarily mean just in the workout. I mean throughout the week, too. I mean the total time spent working out throughout the week. So, for example, let's just say the week where you got to work out 3 times. Let's just say even if your workout's an hour and a half, that's only 4.5 hours for a total workout, a total a week that you're working out, which isn't a ton of time. And again, I can make a total body workout in an hour. So think about it. Only 3 hours a week you got to work out, and you can make some pretty good gains. So that's not a lot of time, you know, versus, and again, this is in comparison to the other splits. Some of these other splits, you got to work out 6 times a week to see efficient gains, I guess you could say, or pretty good gains. And again, that's not time efficient. So even if the workouts are 30-45 minutes, you're working out longer. So yeah, I would say total body workouts can be very time efficient if you plan them correctly. Again, if you do it wrong, they could be not time efficient. But I think total body workouts for weekly time working out, you don't have to work out a ton throughout the week to make some pretty good gains. And lastly is that total body workouts are good for learning exercise technique. And what do I mean by that? Is that like when you work out 3 or 4 times a week, you're getting high exposure to certain exercises and certain exercise patterns that, because you're doing it so often, you can keep your technique very polished and very good. You know, kind of like keeping the blade of a knife pretty sharp. Your technique's consistently sharp. You're not having so much time or gap between certain exercises that you're getting bad at the exercises. And if you're someone who's a beginner and you're just starting out, it's not like you weren't bad before or you weren't forgetting them. You just need to get good to begin with. So like for example, let's just say 3 total body workouts a week. In each workout you have some type of hip hinge pattern in there, whether that be like a box squat, whether that be a back squat or a deadlift. You're going to get good at the hip hinge doing it 3 times a week. Now if you only did it 1 time a week, it's going to take you a lot longer to kind of master that pattern. So again, it's good for learning exercise technique. Some cons of total body workouts are the last exercises of a workout of your workouts are typically done in a more fatigued state. Well, why? And you may say, well, how is that different from any workout? Of course, the exercises at the end are done in a more fatigued state. But typically, if you're doing total body workouts, you're doing more compound movements because you need to kind of get the exercises that are more bang for your buck. You can't do total body workouts and do a ton of isolation movements. You can, but that's very inefficient. I guess to go over this now too is that when I mean these programs, I mean optimizing these programs. So optimizing a total body workout routine, I wouldn't give someone a bunch of isolation movements. I'd include more compound movements than normal because again, they need to hit all the major muscle groups to a good degree. So because you're doing more compound movements though, the last compound movement, you're going to have already done a bunch of compound movements and you're going to be probably more fatigued than normal compared to the other workout programs. Where like another workout split, you might have isolation movements at the end. So isolation movements, yeah, you might be a little fatigued, but they're isolation. They're not they're not very heavily demanding. So again, that is a con. You might feel more fatigued, which technically I guess you are very, very, very slightly increasing your risk for injury. Again, doing a compound movement in a more fatigued state is always going to increase your risk of injury a crumb than doing it in a fresh state. So again, I think it's so minute it doesn't really matter, you know, and you shouldn't be doing, 40 sets anyways of total body. You know, I don't think you need to do that much, nearly at all. So again, that is one con. Another con is, for the most part, and again, someone might try to counter this. I'm not talking, when I say these things, I'm not talking about exceptions or weird things you might do. I'm talking about general guidelines and not exceptions. I'm not talking about exceptions. Is that for the most part, you cannot work out back-to-back days. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you do a total body workout Monday to a good RPE, proper working out, you're not going to be able to work out Tuesday. Now, some of you may say, well, I have a technique day and I do, well, no shit. I can make a technique day and do that on Tuesday as well. But I'm saying that if you're doing a regular workout where it's not, super low RPEs, your training's relatively close to failure, you're not even to failure. You don't even have to go to failure. If you go relatively close to failure, I don't think you should work out again, obviously, the next day. So you can't work out back-to-back days, which means that you can only work out 3 or 4 days a week. So this time efficiency, it kind of hinders you on the far end of the spectrum for advanced lifters. If you're someone who wants to push that workout frequency to 5-6 days a week, you're not going to be able to do that on a total body split. So yeah, that's definitely a con. And another con is it's more difficult to target weak body parts in a total body split. think about it like this. If you're only working out 3 or 4 days a week, you need to make sure you get every muscle group with those big compound movements. You can't spend all your time doing isolation movements. Think about it. If you have one workout for legs, let's just say you have 2 exercises. You have a back squat and a Romanian deadlift. I'm not saying you do that in that order, but those are the 2 exercises you have for that workout. And also in that workout, you have 2 exercises for back. Let's just say you have pull-ups and then a barbell bent over row, and then you have, for your chest, you have, let's just say you have overhead press and a bench press. I'm just throwing out exercises just to kind of give you guys an idea. Let's just say you do 2 sets of everything. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So it's 4, 8, 12. Or even if you did 3, it would be 6, 12, 18. 18 compound movements is a lot like that. That's a lot of movement. I wouldn't do much more than that. But if I'd even do that, I wouldn't do that for a beginner regardless. But that's way too much. But I'm just saying that, let's just say we did that. You're not going to have much room for isolation movements at the end, and again, if let's just say you didn't do none of those. Let's just say you did hamstring curls and then leg extensions for legs, and you didn't do any compound movements. You're gonna make a lot less gains in the long run than you would if you have these big compound movements. Now, I'm not against isolation movements at all. That you can definitely gain muscle with isolation movements, but I think that if you had to pick one or the other, I always pick compound movements. And I think there was a study that the Research Review Mass, Monthly Applications of Strength Sport, they went over a study, because it's a research review, that they're not doing the studies, they're going over the studies, covered that. They covered when volume is matched, even when volume is matched, that you make more gains doing compound movements than you do isolation movements. So again, and it's just more efficient, you're targeting so many muscles during a compound movement, that you don't have to do an isolation movement for each of those muscle groups. So again, that's the last con for that one. So who is total body good for? Remember, again, I'm not saying exceptions to the rule. I can say I can make a total body workout for an advanced lifter. It's definitely doable. I'm not saying it's doable, but generally, let's just say an advanced lifter had no time constraints. They could work out as much as I would allow them to, and then they didn't mind working out a lot. I definitely wouldn't pick a total body. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying in a vacuum, and again, that's where it comes into, is that you may say that a total body is the only thing you could do because you can only work out 3 times a week and you want to get all these major muscle groups in. That's fine. Then do a total body. Do what you can. I'm just saying that for optimization, unless in a vacuum, let's just say you're someone who doesn't have any time constraints or favoritisms between splits. So who's this good for? Beginners. Again, the high workout frequency, teaching them the core compound movements that they're going to need to learn through all these maybe more advanced splits. This is really good. For people who are short on time, I can make a total body workout in 30 to 45 minutes, 3 times a week. Boom. That's like 3 hours of workout for the entire week, and you're good. People who don't have any weak body parts and just want the best movements. So if you're someone who doesn't have any hugely lagging body parts, maybe you don't have any amazing body parts either, but you don't have anything lagging, like your chest isn't that bad, your back's not that bad, your calves aren't that bad, but none of them are amazing, but they're not that bad, then again, this might be a good one for you. So you could just hit those big compound movements, get in the gym, get out the gym, and you're done. But again, someone in this category too, though, could also do another split. I'm just saying, like, let's just say you could have 2 of these. Let's just say you're a beginner and you don't have any weak body parts. Or I guess one of the main things here would be short on time, and then if you're a beginner. So again, you don't have to, you could be all 3 of these: a beginner, someone shorter time, and you don't have weak body parts, but not do this workout if you want. But I'm just saying it's for efficiency. If you fall into a lot of these right here, you might want to think about switching to a total body. All right, the next one is a very popular split that I just switched to. It's very popular. I see it everywhere, and it's a push-pull legs split. Very popular. You see it all over the internet. I think it's a real neat workout split. It does have its cons, but it also has a lot of pros. So let's jump right into that. The first pro is it lets you target weak points well, because when you walk into the gym, you have one large muscle group that you're working. And I say large muscle group because the back is a bunch of muscle groups, and your pressing muscle groups are a bunch of muscle groups, because you have your shoulders, triceps, chest. Your legs are a huge muscle group. You got your glutes. I would say they're a group of groups almost. But when you go in, like, let's just say it's a push day, that push day you're working on just your chest, shoulders, and triceps. So you think, okay, my chest, shoulders, and triceps, what am I trying to bring up? You might be someone who has good delts. Okay, I have good delts. I don't need to do a ton on delts. I'll have, one solid movement for delts. Or 2 movements, but just 2 sets each. So you're only taking 4 sets up on delts. Not much. Let's just say, oh, my chest is lagging a lot. I need to work on my chest. You might include some flies in there, some push-ups, so you can go in there. You have one thing you're working on. That focus kind of lets you target weak points really well. So, and I even said right here, you have one huge muscle group, or a muscle group of groups, because you could say the delts are a muscle group. So when you say you're pressing movements, that's a group of groups kind of. But you have one huge thing you're focused on. You're not focused on your entire total body, so you get to kind of nitpick what you want to exactly do. So I like that. And on top of that, I guess I didn't put it in here, this is a real neat split. When you go in and you think, oh, I have just upper body push, just upper body pull. For some people who might get confused with the total body split, it's like, oh man, I have to do legs. Well, then I got to warm up for legs. Oh, now I have upper body pull. Do I need to warm up for upper body pull? Do I need to do mobility work for that? No, like when you go in for push pull legs, I need to warm up for upper body and then upper body push specifically. You don't need to go for upper body push and then do ankle mobility, along with it. So it's more neat. So I guess I didn't really write that in pro, but that's a pro. Another pro is, you can rack up adequate single workout volume pretty well per muscle group. So what I mean by that is you can get adequate volume in a total body workout for one workout, but not for a single workout. So for a push, not for a single muscle group. So for example, when you're doing total body, you could have, like I said earlier, you could have 6 sets on legs, 6 sets on upper body push, and 6 sets on pull. And if they're all compound movements, that's a lot of compound movements. But when you think about it, that's only 6 sets on upper body push. And when you even think about it more, that's only 3 sets on a horizontal push and 3 sets on a vertical push. So that's only 3 sets on shoulders that you're doing in one workout. And I don't think that muscle groups have huge capacity to do 40 sets on just chest or something stupid like that. But I do think you have more than a capacity for 3 sets, so you really can't with total body. With push pull legs, you can get, since you're just doing upper body push, you can get pretty good volume in that one workout for that muscle group versus like a total body. Last pro that I could come up with is, it's good for intermediate and advanced lifters who work out 6 times a week. I specifically say 6 times because think about it. It's push, pull, upper body push, upper body pull, and legs. If you're going Monday push, Tuesday pull, Wednesday legs, Thursday push, Friday pull, Saturday legs, and Sunday off, that's you're working out each major muscle group 2 times a week. And then if you pack those days pretty good with volume or intelligent volume, you can get, I would definitely say you can find a system of progression that you can adequately add volume over time to kind of get the most optimal volume that you can get for being a human. I could pack a lot of, if you build up to it intelligently, I can make a program so someone had a lot of push volume on that one day, and on that second push day they have a lot of volume there, that they're kind of tapping out the max volume that I would even allow them to do at that time. So again, for someone who lifts 6 times a week though, that's kind of the key. Now we'll get into the cons, which the first con follows right from that last pro, is that if you're not working out 6 times a week, I would argue that this split probably is not good for you. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing a push-pull legs for someone who can't work out 6 times a week. The reason being is if you can, let's just say you work out 5 times a week or 4 times a week, you're now kind of having a weird staggered approach with your weeks. And some of you may argue, I'm not stupid, you may argue, and this is a fair point. You may say, well, why are we looking at weeks and weeks? What does a week even mean? What if I can only work out 5 times a week, but I just start the next week with whatever's next, in that push-pull leg split? Yeah, you can do that too, that's fine, but I'm talking about from a practical standpoint, practicality. People don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. I don't like starting my next week and thinking, wait, I finished the week on pull, I need to start legs this week. It's going to throw me off. I have a schedule. And then that's assuming you can only do 4 or 5 times. Let's just say you can only do 3. You're now hitting basically, each muscle group 1 to 1, if 1 time a week, if you can only work out 3 times a week, or if it's 4 or 5, like 1.5 times. So again, that's kind of, if you can't work out 6 times a week, you're the best. If you can't work out 6 times a week, the best scenario is you're going to have between 1 and 2 times a week muscle group frequency, but it's also going to be not neat, and it might confuse you a little bit. And at the worst, you're only going to be hitting a muscle group once a week, which is extremely annoying. And then if you're someone who can't do twice a week, let's just say you can't do, I mean, you can only do twice a week workouts just because your schedule, you're only allowed to work out twice, which some people can. This is a terrible split. This is horrible. So again, for someone who has time to work out 6 times a week, this is going to be an amazing split, which is what I'm doing right now. But for someone who can only work out twice, this is where splits are very important. Total body will shit on push-pull legs if you can only work out twice a week. So, yeah, this is pretty good. So yeah, that's where con comes in. That's a huge con, actually. So just you have to think, how often can you work out? And then second con is during workout, subsequent exercises may have lower volume. And this is where you have to really think about the workouts. You know, you can't just look at them real quickly. You got to think about them. Is for total body and other splits like an upper lower, which I'll get over to later, is that when you're doing push, like let's just say you have upper body push on Monday, like I said earlier, each exercise, even if you're changing it, let's just say you start off with bench press and then you go into an overhead press next. That overhead press, even though you didn't do the exact same exercise with the bench press, the bench press is still going to fatigue those muscles. Your chest, shoulders, and triceps are still getting fatigued. So when you do a regular rest period and then you go into your next exercise, overhead press, you're going to be fatigued from the bench press. And some of you may say, well, you know, that happens with every workout, but not to the same degree. You could stagger exercises so you technically get more volume. So in like an upper lower or like the upper day of an upper lower split or a total body split, let's just say a total body split since we already went over that, I could have a barbell back squat first, and then my next exercise is a barbell bent over row. So I'm going from a push legs to a pull upper body, which is drastically different. So yes, you might have global fatigue, but localized fatigue is very low because you didn't really do much with your back. Yes, your back does get hit a little bit during legs just due to stabilization, like isometric contraction, because you want to keep your back in a good position to help with the squat, but it's not a prime mover. Your back's not a prime mover during a squat. So again, so whatever 3-4 sets you do on a bent over row, when you go to the next exercise, so you're switching muscle groups too. You're not switching muscle groups on push-pull legs. So as you go along throughout the workout, you may tell that like you're getting fatigued from subsequent sets from sets before it. So you're just getting tired. So during workout, subsequent exercises may have lower volume than if you did it during like an upper-lower split. And I'll explain that when I go over upper-lower split. So the last con is that you can't do 3 times a week frequency if wanted or necessary, because you're kind of maxing out your single workout volume capacity. Everybody's different. Everybody has different cardiovascular fitness levels. If you're someone with better cardiovascular fitness, you might not get as fatigued between sets or from sets. Or if you just don't have high work capacity, you might not be able to. But with push-pull legs, obviously you're going to do push Monday, pull Tuesday, legs Wednesday. And if you did that all again, the most you can do a muscle group is twice a week, which I'm not saying is bad at all. That's definitely not bad. And you may never cap out your day's volume, your single workout's day's volume, so you won't have a problem with that. But some people, they can only do so much in one workout on one particular muscle group that 3 times the frequency, depending on the person, might be necessary, and you can't do that with a push-pull leg. So that's just something to know. So who's this good for? It's good for intermediate and advanced lifters. I would not recommend this for beginners, because a beginner, I wouldn't want a beginner probably shouldn't be working out 6 times a week to begin with. You know, I mean, if you someone who likes working out, and I could structure a workout. Again, I could easily structure a workout where they work out 6 times a week and there's no problem. You know, you just have to have each workout would be very low volume, and it would be obviously lower RPEs. But I never met anyone who doesn't work out or hasn't been working out who says, oh, I don't care, I'll work out 6 days a week. If they liked working out that much, they'd already be working out. So there's something in there that's stopping them from working out. And I think jumping straight into 6 days a week probably is not the best. So it's good for intermediate and advanced lifters, and then lifters who have the time and want to target weak body parts. So again, and me, I would consider myself like in between intermediate and advanced for someone who's been working out. So yeah, so I'm doing push-pull legs right now, and I like it. All right, next is upper-lower split. So upper-lower split is when you just do all upper body one day and all lower body another day. So it's basically like push pull one day and then legs. So that's a good way to think about it. You're doing upper body push and upper body pull on one day. Which means that obviously you're not going to be able to do as much for upper body pull and upper body push as you would if you just did only those. But again, I'll go over the pros and cons right now. So the pros is that this is good for all types of lifters. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced. This is like the jack of all trades kind of split, in my opinion. Yes, a total body split might be good based off your situation, better than upper lower. But upper lower, I would say you really can't go wrong. You know, if you're someone who's a beginner, I would figure you'd be able to do 4 times a week. Now, not every beginner can, but that's not ridiculous, especially if they're shorter workouts. You should really have no problem doing that. You know, a beginner shouldn't be in the gym forever anyway. So if you did an upper that's 30 to 45 minutes, you know, lower 30 to 45 minutes, that's like 2 to 3 hours working out a week. So that's not a ton. So that's actually really good. So, yeah, I could structure it. You know, if you did upper twice, lower twice, 2 times frequency is pretty good. Not bad. For advanced, you know, you could do, 3 and 3, which is amazing. So again, it's good for all types. Now, the second one, and remember, there's only 2 pros here, but that's a great pro, and it kind of ties into the next pro really well, is the high frequency, high volume. So, and again, like I said, there's only 2 pros, but the second pro is a really high pro. So, if you're like an advanced lifter, and you could do upper 3 times a week, since you're just doing all upper on one day, and then you could do lower 3 times a week, since you're just doing lower. So that's 6 times a week. You're now hitting every single muscle group 3 times a week. And if you push each of the, let's just say you've been training for years with a very intelligent workout program, you had excellent progression, and then genetically you're able to handle a little bit higher volume than most people. This would probably be the best split for you, because upper 3 times a week, lower 3 times a week, that's very high frequency. You can max out those days individually to have high volume. So I think this is a really good split because of that. The cons: if you're only working out if you can only work out 2 or 4 work days of the week, let's just say 6 days is not an option for you. If you're only working out 2 or 4 days, some of these workouts can be kind of time consuming, specifically the upper body days, because you're doing upper body push pull on the same exact day. For you to be able to get adequate volume for that day, if you're only working out 4 days, which is 2 upper body days and 2 lower days, then you kind of have to pack those upper body days to be able to get adequate volume for all those muscle groups. So again, it can be kind of time consuming. Like, personally, me, at the end of my volume block, where volume's highest, and I don't care what anyone says, this is very feasible. Some of my workouts were like 2.5 hours, just because the rest periods were longer, because I had to hit all these muscle groups. Again, for me, it was fun. I was making really good gains off of it. I just hit my PRs, and I PR'd on all my lifts. So that was it was good. It was just too time consuming, though, So that's if you only work out 4 days. If you're automatically starting off at 3 upper days, you can make it so that each workout's pretty low. So that's different. And if you're only doing 2 days a week, which is 1 upper, 1 lower, I wouldn't even recommend doing this split period. If you can't work out 4 days or more, which kind of was what I was talking about for con 1, is you have a low frequency per muscle group. So again, if you're doing 2 days a week, just don't even do it. Because again, you could do, let's just say you can only work out 2 days a week, I'd recommend you do total body by far. So that'd be someone who's low on time, which the pro for total body is people who are short on time. So who's this good for? It's for people who can only work out 4 days a week but still want a high volume program. Let's just say someone who let's just say you can only work out 4 days a week, and you can't work out 6, but you don't want to just do 2. If you can only work out 4 days a week, then you can, if you have, the discipline and, you're genetically able to do this, let's just say it's not hard for you, we could kind of max out those 4 days with this program, but still get a very advanced program with this. Because if we cap out, again, that's where the con, it's weird. Like, this con is what you have to think about, though, is that it is time consuming. Let's just say time's not a problem with you, then this could be a really good program for people who want that advanced program that you probably can't get with the push-pull legs 4 days. If you can only work out 4 days, you're not going to, an advanced lifter, you're not going to be, push-pull legs is going to be shit. Total body, you're not going to be able to, this would be a good split, upper or lower. So that's for those types of people. And then people who want to maximize their weekly volume by maximizing frequency. So let's just say you can work out as much as you want to, and you want to maximize everything when it comes to volume and just technique and working on exercises and just getting every little ounce of that out of that gym as you can. I think that this is the best split for that. So yeah, so if you're someone who, you know, but again, this isn't the split if you don't have all these days. If you can only work out 2 or 3 days, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing this split at all. But again, if you're just someone who doesn't have time constraints and you just want to do this, you know, yeah, it's good. So all right, the last one, which I'll say it right before I even start talking about it, is that by far, this is my least favorite split. I don't like it. I wouldn't program this for 99% of people. There's very few cases that I program this or give it to a client, and I'll tell you in a little bit why. But I guess the first pro is workout adherence. The reason why I say this is because these bro splits are what like the golden age era bodybuilders used to do. And a bro split, for those of you who don't know, is basically it's a low frequency workout split where you hit each muscle group 1 time a week. And the easiest way to sum this up is that, like, have you ever seen someone's program and they have a chest day, and then they have an arm day, and then they have a back day, and then they have a shoulder day, and then they have a leg day, and that's 5 days a week. But they're basically getting each. And then that's another con here that I forgot to type in, but I'll type it in right now. You're hitting 5 different muscle groups 5 times a week, and that's how it works. You have a chest day, and you don't hit chest until the next week. That's it. So I guess I could say workout adherence for this one, because for people who kind of like that golden age era of bodybuilding, it may make them like want to do the workout more. They like walking in and having just a chest day. I'm about to get my chest pumped. I don't really see that with any of these other workouts. Like, I like these workouts because they're neat, and that increases my workout adherence. But I mean, so technically all of these could have workout adherence, but this just seemed to have workout adherence a lot, because whenever I see this split, people say that's the reason why, usually because old school bodybuilders used to do this. That's the reason why they do this. The next pro is that it targets weak body parts very easily. Because you're doing each workout in each muscle group on 1 day. You have chest 1 day, back 1 day, shoulders 1 day, arms 1 day. It's kind of, you have really no excuse to have, I guess, a lagging body part, which you still could have a lagging body part because of the cons of this. But I'm just, when I mean like targeting, you can do specific exercises to target them. It doesn't mean they're actually going to come up. There's other limitations to the bro splits that may be the reason why they're not actually growing. But again, for picking exercises that target these weak body parts, you have no problem doing that with the bro split. And then also you can achieve high single workout volume, because when you walk in, you're only doing just chest. You could do a lot of sets on chest, or you could do a lot of sets on shoulders, or a lot of sets on arms. So, you know, again, how much that means, I mean, there's some downsides to that too. But I guess if you're trying to get a lot of volume on chest, you can do that. So the cons, and these are some pretty big cons, which is why I don't like bro splits, is the one is max muscle group frequency is essentially once a week. Now, again, there are outliers and, you know, exceptions to this. You could probably, I know Jeff Nippard, he structured his bro split workout and kind of in a weird way made it so that he was kind of hitting some of the muscle groups twice, which not all of them are prime movers. I see what he was doing, and again, he's very intelligent when it comes to fitness in general and lifting, so he can do that, but not everyone can. And even then, I guarantee you he would agree with me when I say this, that his program was still not optimal for workout frequency. So so essentially, basically, for most people though, when you're doing a bro split, you're essentially hitting each muscle group once a week. You're primarily targeting it once a week. Now again, for some examples, is that for the way I said it, you have chest, arms, back, shoulders. Arms are essentially or biceps are getting hit twice a week, because they're getting hit once on back day and then once on the arm day. And then triceps are getting also hit twice, and then shoulders are getting hit twice. But they're getting hit twice in not good ways too. Like, for example, the reason why this is a con still, you may say, well, they are getting hit twice. You just said they weren't. Yes, but they're getting hit once in a good way. So if you have, a lot of people just do it like this. They'll have chest one day, they'll have legs the next day, and then they'll have arms the next day, and then back the next day. Somewhere in that mix, you're going to start hitting muscle groups 2 times in a row, which is terrible. If you have chest and shoulders the next day, you're now hitting shoulders twice in a row, which is not good at all. Especially a lot of people who do these bro splits, they have that old school bodybuilder mentality where they take everything to failure, which again is just terrible. Now, if you have legs the third day, what does that leave? Back and arms for 2 days in a row. You have a couple off days you can throw in there, but typically somewhere ends up hitting 2 muscle groups in a week somewhere. If you have your off days in the middle, that means you work out at the end of the week, and then you're now working out at the beginning of the week where you're targeting something else again. So again, for doing it in a good way and optimally, you could only efficiently and in a good way hit each muscle group once a week. So if you're trying to maximize gains with hitting muscle groups intelligently 3 times a week, this is the worst split to do in my opinion, by far. Again, you can still do it, again, like I said, Jeff Nipper did a good one, but why make it difficult when you could pick another split if it's available to you? Another reason, and this is where it really is only 1 time a week, is this split is bad for learning exercise technique. If you only have that muscle group that 1 time a week, let's just say you have chest one day, and that's really just chest one day, and you're bench pressing that one day, your technique is limited to how much you can do that kind of, Think about it. If you practice a language once a week, or practice shooting a basketball once a week, or practice shooting a bow and arrow once a week, you can only, that's only so much you can do in that one day. Now, if you did it 2 or 3 times a week, your technique is going to be a lot sharper a lot of the time. So again, it's bad for learning technique. Terrible. I would almost never give this to a beginner. I mean, unless they refuse to do another split. And then it's very time consuming. This split, I guess you could work out 3 times a week, but then you're only seeing each muscle group every 2 weeks, which is more terrible, more downsides. But if you're doing a bro split, how it's typically done, you have to work out 5 times a week. There's no way around it. So there's no 2, 3, 4 workouts. There's no way you can fit that in there. So again, this is a very niche type of split, and which I'll go over right now. Who's it good for? People who ate all the other splits. If you just don't like the other splits and you like doing this, that's fine. And then also people who idolize like the golden age of bodybuilding. If this is really going to make you get into the gym, if you're just like, I like this split because all my favorite bodybuilders used to do it, it's increasing my adherence a lot. It makes me want to get in the gym knowing I have chest day on Monday. Then do it. I'm not saying that like you're a bad person for doing it at all. Some people acknowledge that scientifically that this isn't probably not the best split, but what does science even mean? Science doesn't mean shit in the face of adherence. If you're not going to do something because you just don't like doing it, who cares if it's optimal or not? So again, if you just like this split because you follow that golden age of bodybuilding, or you just like having a chest day, and then you hate all the other splits, then go ahead and let's just say you like going in the gym and you just enjoy focusing on one thing, not even like an upper lower, you just like doing one, like just chest or just arms, then do it. That's fine. I guess to recap all this too is, again, there are exceptions to everything, and you have to think about adherence for everything. It doesn't matter which one is the most optimal or which one fits you. If you don't have time for it, like if you like push pull, if you like push pull legs, but you don't have time for push pull legs and you have to do total body, and then you're hearing me say like, oh, that this might not be the most optimal for advanced athletes, don't beat yourself up. It doesn't matter. The fact is you're working with what you got. You're working with what you can do. If you're doing push-pull legs, but you're only working out 3 times a week with the push-pull legs, and that's what you like doing, again, don't beat yourself up. It's what you like doing. So you got to think about adherence first. So what you enjoy doing, and if you enjoy just working out in general and you're not picky, then pick which one fits you best. If you enjoy working out but you're short on time, pick here. If you like doing push-pull legs because you're just hitting that one muscle group and you like working out 6 times a week, then do that. If you want to maximize everything and you're an advanced athlete or advanced lifter, and then you want to maximize volume totally, then just do upper lower. Or if you like golden age of bodybuilding and you like following them and doing workouts like that, then do bro split. So again, this isn't like, oh, you're a bad person. I'm just letting you guys know the pros and cons of each. You can kind of pick what fits you best. But if you guys have any questions, comments, please post them down below wherever you're watching this on. If you're seeing this on Facebook or you're seeing this on YouTube, let me know and I will answer them. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos, please let me know, but I will see you guys next time.